5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And welcome to Pomum's Adoctrination Chamber, the series where I tell you what you should like in case you don't know what to like. So today we're going to be talking about indie games. The last one was a bit general, I think. Talking about indie games makes sense because this is mostly it is definitely a channel about gameplays. And indie games, I'd say for me, the definition for an indie game is a game that has been developed by a small company or a single individual. Normally, games that are very driven by passion, a concept that has been developed with a lot of care, and that because of that doesn't follow the rules that some commercial games have to follow. Like, very silly an example would be Fire Emblem. I have no doubt that a lot of the decisions for the development of every Fire Emblem game come from the success that a previous Fire Emblem game had and how well some of the features in the previous Fire Emblem game were taken. A very quick example would be if the monastery hadn't been at least a bit popular among the fan base, then it wouldn't have returned in the form of the Somniel in Engage. So, here I obviously have to start with a game that isn't going to be a surprise for people that have been following this channel for a while. I even have a Let's Play about this game, and that is Cave Story. Cave Story is the Metroidvania by excellence for me. It's just a very beautiful game, a very chill game, peak aesthetics. Cave Story is one of my favorite games. I always say I have 3 favorite games tied at the first spot. One of them is Fire Emblem 6, the other one is Cave Story, and the third one would be Mirror's Edge. Very different type of games, but that's just how it goes. And Cave Story to me really shines in the aesthetics department, even among those first 3, because it manages to create a very captivating world and present it to you while not filling it with... There's really not that many NPCs in Cave Story. I think I can count most characters. There have to be like, what, 30 named characters in the whole game. It's a very simple game, and yet it works very well because you can see every piece of the game was really well thought out. As I said, pick aesthetics, but also this doesn't mean that you only have to play it for the aesthetics. The gameplay is amazing. Metroidvania means, well, you're going to have certain, item collecting capabilities, but mostly it's going to be about jumping and shooting, and that's good. That's good. It's a good formula, and then if you can do it very well, then you should do it. The difficulty curve, especially, is one that amazes me to this day. I don't think there's quite another game like Cave Story that accommodates you so much with its difficulty curve. You get a very easy start, you get a small ramp up of difficulty a bit before the mid game, and yeah, aside from that, it's just so smooth. As you go on, the game gets increasingly a bit more difficult depending on the amount of secrets you unveil throughout your gameplay. You're going to get a different version of the last dungeon, which is called the last cave, and then after that, if you are going for the perfect ending, you unlock a very difficult zone called the I actually don't remember right now, the Hell Grounds or something like that, the Sacred Grounds. Yeah, the Sacred Grounds. The Running Hell is the music that plays in the Sacred Grounds. Just amazing gameplay overall. The difficulty is just right for you, because if you just want to beat the game and you want to go for the not the shortest route, because the shortest route is a bit of a bad ending, but for the normal ending, you shouldn't have a lot of trouble. And if you want to go for the full, I want to find everything in this game, then you are going to find a lot of challenges in your way, and I think that's also a very good thing to have. The game is short. Don't get me wrong. I think if you have played the game before, like I have, I think I would be able to beat the game in a single day, like in one sitting. 4 hours sounds okay. 4 to 6 hours. I'm sure that there's someone around there on the internet that has beaten this game in 1-2 hours in a speedrun, but you can beat it in 6 hours with no problem, I'd say. There are more modern adaptations of Cave Story. There was a release for the 3DS called Cave Story 3D. I definitely don't recommend that one. I think the graphics don't work very well, and this isn't just my opinion. There's a lot of people that thought the same way, and there was a lot of criticism surrounding Cave Story 3D. A lot of people called it an unnecessary remake, and that's absolutely true. And the graphics, sometimes they have that confusing 2.5 3D like in Kirby 64. That doesn't work very well, and that sometimes just confuses you about what is going on exactly, because you don't know what's happening in the front and in the background, so you don't know what you are supposed to do exactly. But Nintendo did compensate for this more or less by releasing Cave Story Plus for the Nintendo Switch. So I'm not trying to make a sales pitch here, but Cave Story Plus is available on Nintendo Switch. You can put the original graphics or some a little bit more perfected graphics, and works very well. Also includes a new dungeon. I haven't played it myself, but I have no doubt from the comments I've read that it's very good. Second game I'm going to recommend today, Off. Off has a single mistake. The author is French. If you're able to ignore that the game is French, then you're in for an incredible experience. It's a bit of it's definitely a deconstruction of what an RPG is. You play as the Butter. The Butter is your home run boy that just goes around the worlds, devoiding them of corruption. It's a game of minimalist aesthetics. If you thought indie games were simple, prepare for this one. And it contains a lot of puzzles that I found to be very, very good. It's a unique game with a fan base that sometimes the fan base of this game is like a cult, but like an actual cult. Not like when you say, not like, oh, Fire Emblem fan base is like, or Smash fan base is like, no. This is like the type of fan base that you never hear about. They come out of a stone and they say, yes, I'm a mob fan. I've been sleeping for 10 years and I'm ready to talk about the game now. A very obscure game. Probably because, well, it is French, so it wasn't released on English at the very beginning. Incredibly good looking. The author has done a lot of art about the different characters in the game, and if I had to add anything else, I'd say it has a masterful OST, one of the best OSTs I've ever heard. The most memorable piece is the battle theme, Pepper Steak, which has a lot of arrangements around the internet because it's just very good. Third recommendation, and this is a very weird one and probably the least well known that I'm going to talk about today, With Those We Love Alive. With Those We Love Alive is a game by Porpentin Charity Heartscape, and it's a text adventure. It doesn't have graphics on its own, but it kind of also does because it makes a good use of color to keep you looking and centered on the important parts. I hear a lot about, when the internet first appeared, there was a lot of interest about the concept of meta text, like text that leads you to another text, and nowadays we have that in the form of hypertext, which is just links. You click on a link, you go to somewhere else. So the text doesn't mean text anymore. It means a door to another place. I'd say this is a game that really takes that form of text and makes it into an art. And it has the advantage that it's very well written. Like, it's very, very, very well written. It's not just the format, but the content that is very good. If I had to define with Those Will of a Life, I'd say it's like a queer fable about like beauty and corruption, and I don't really want to talk a lot about it because obviously the text that the game contains is all that's interesting about it. So I don't want to spoil you about you, but it definitely has my recommendation, and you can play it in a single day. Is very short, very short. By the way, Off is also very short. The only disadvantage about With Those Will of a Life is that it's criminally underrated. No one talks about With Those Will of a Life. I don't understand exactly why. It goes by mouth-to-mouth advertisement. There's a colleague I knew from university that talked to me about this game, and that's how I first found out about it. And it's a real shame because this is a very, very unique game. So I definitely recommend you to play it. Another game, Omori. Omori is a game that I find it a bit weird to recommend it because I haven't finished it yet. In fact, I get the feeling I'm just starting. But it's good enough that I just have to mention it here. It has a great RPG system, a very, very, very solid art department, and yeah, yes, everything I've seen is so entertaining, so good looking. Has a story that, as I said, I'm just starting, but it's looking to be very, very good. Charming dialogue, just those childish aesthetics. I know it's a pretty popular game, you know, Omori, the end of the fanboy pipeline and all that. But men, are they right? Because it just looks so good. Like, it definitely deserves the hype. And surprisingly enough for me, I thought it was only going to be like a cutesy cute experience, but it has some actual horror in it. Like, I got a bit scared while playing it, so if you are into that, then that's also something you should know. And if you don't like horror, then I would say the game isn't all about horror, but it's something you should take into account. It's just so much better than Undertale, which leads me to my next recommendation, Undertale. Undertale is a game I probably don't have to talk a lot about, because a lot of people have talked about Undertale. Remember like 5 years ago when people were saying that Undertale was the best game ever, and but like no joke about this, people were saying that Undertale was the best game to have ever been created, ever been written, ever been programmed. Where are those people now? Because I want to have a talk with them. Undertale definitely has memorable characters. The gameplay is fun. Unless you go genocide, then it's just a slugfest. And repetition. But yeah, it's good. It's good. Like, Undertale overrated, but it's still good. So if you want to play an indie game and you haven't played Undertale, you should. I know Undertale takes a lot of inspiration from Mother, especially Mother 2. I haven't played Mother, so I wouldn't know if that's true or not. But in case you really want to play the game that Undertale takes inspiration from before playing the actual game, then go for Mother, and then for Undertale, and then for Omori, which takes inspiration from Undertale. Another game. I don't know if this game is well known, not very well known. It was well known, but like 10 years ago. So I guess I'm old. It's called I Wanna Kill the Guy. is from a quote-unquote franchise from the I Wanna Be the Guy franchise, which has led to a lot of weird spin-offs. But I Wanna Kill the Guy is the best thing to come out of that franchise. If you know the concept of crack game, this is the crack game by excellence. It's hard enough to make you want to give up at every turn. It's literally hard. It's horrible. The gameplay is about repetition and repetition and repetition, but it actually works very well because it goes very fast. Doesn't have a lot of story. The story is together with the gameplay. You just go boom, 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 boom. It's about jumping and shooting, but not a Metroidvania. Just linear. You go. There's no plot. Just kill everything that's in front of you and avoid the obstacles. Literally hell again. Pretty fucking amazing music though. So good game. Another game I really appreciate and that I don't see people talking enough about is Limbo. Limbo was released like what, 8 years ago? 10 years ago, and yeah, to this day I still find it to be one of the most unique games that I found, especially because Limbo is an indie, but it was released on the PS3 or so. So when you look at the PS3 and the catalog of the PS3, you normally find most of the games are very 3D-esque shooters or sports games, kind of like adult games. And then you find Limbo, in which you play as a little kid that you don't see the face of, and it's just a game that really plays into the shadows and lights, black and white aesthetic. Gameplay is also very interesting. It's like a puzzle game. Maybe I should say an escape room. If you know Little Nightmares, which is more well known than Limbo, unfortunately, Little Nightmares took a lot from Limbo. I'm actually not sure if they are from the same developer, so if that's the case, then they have all the right to do it. But if not, then they should recognize the merit of Limbo. He has consistent aesthetics and a very eerie feeling throughout the game. I didn't finish it. I originally played the demo and then I bought the game and I started playing it and I dropped it because I ran into trouble with one of the puzzles and I didn't want to look for the solution, so I dropped it. But it's very entertaining and yes, very good, very good. And for my last recommendation for today, I have another game I haven't finished, and that's one I first started recently last month, Disco Elysium. Disco Elysium you might have heard about. It's pretty new, and man is it good. 10 out of 10 art and music, like the immersion in that game is incredible. In just one phrase, Disco Elysium is the definitive role-playing experience. You play as a drunk, amnesiac detective that has to work on a case with a new partner. Classical, sort of noir aesthetics, a bit of a historical, but on a country that doesn't really exist setting. It's so well done. It has maybe the best dialogue to be ever written for a video game. That what I've read up to this point is just incredibly good. It's so good. I can't even begin to tell you. And it's just like playing tabletop role. It's a game of moment. You go around doing your things, and sometimes you run into some random NPC and he decides to give you the best conversation you've ever had with, I don't know, like better than most of the conversations you have with actual human beings. So yeah, it's very good. I've only played like the first 10 hours and I can already tell you this is a masterpiece. And yeah, that's going to do it for my recommendations for today. I hope you enjoyed. If there's a game you find that I haven't mentioned, it's probably because I haven't played it. So I'm not going to be recommending things I haven't played at all. I'm already recommending some things I haven't finished and feeling weird about it. So yeah, with that, bye, and I will see you next month.